We will be starting shortly, so stay tuned.
Good morning. I feel honored to be asked to say the prayer for council. And as I arrived, the snow came in. So in my prayer in Dakota, I want to pray for all and for in the purest way that you can. O Dakota, I will say my prayer. O Wakantika Tokashi, Apata de Wopida Ata, Yuita de Ata, Unkampi, Wakantika Tokashi, Tukreta Ata, Dechi Ata, Pekta. Dewa Hi Ata, Wopida Tanka Ata, Denaus Ata, Wakawa Ania, Wakantika Tokashi, Wochika Ata, Homatata, Wakahni Yakiko, Wakantika Tokashi. Tukreta de Niwaka, Wochika Ata, Tukte ata yukshampikika, tukte washte ata kinapekte wakantikutakashi. Makpiyana was not unki, takope hena asata wana yapi wana kantikutakashi. Hena asata naku niwako api. Tukte yakika, akanti tukte yompi, is inama kochaka nata dechi ata omani yapi. Wachika metao yachika na humi yapi kika, nina wopida tukte ata Yachapikika, Pilamia, and now Sata Taku Henawas, Wakantaka, Dagwas, Nicho, Wakantaka Takasi, Dagwas, Yakaka, Inamakocha, Nina Dagwas Atan, Dakunata, Hinach Wabrakashni, his own Recha Ata Wabraka, Watchika Dechidi, Dakota at the Watchika, a patch at the Nina you peer at the Dakuas, Dakuku at the Bazo Wabraka, o Wakantikotakashi. Unshapo, Anakichita did not go at the hippie, and Kodata Yupiata Odon, on tribal chairman, and I was not at Tuktetu districts. Opeape, Dai Chanope, Tuktedata, Edukshampiga, Washteata. Oyate ata unsho aku takuko ata iduksham pikika hetch ata yoptekte anakantu ata watchike meta ata na khoya pikika wakantu kutakashi unsho po ektebi chaste me o wopida o mitakwasna hop.
At this time, we're going to do a roll call.
Here. Here. Here.
Vice Chairman?
Here.
everybody. We want to welcome everybody that's attending online. I know our Yapaha just stepped out. I want to thank Tom for always being there for the community and helping broadcast so our message could get out in the community in a good way. We want to welcome everybody for the 2021 General Council, and also too with the color guard for starting us off in a good way and posting those colors. So I want to thank Jerry Upsaw and all the color guards from the Veterans Program. And this morning, I know our Yapaha Tom is making those Elvis songs. So I know he won't do it live, but he's been doing it in the background. Harvey, last year, I know Harvey speaks the language and he does a lot of good things and he prays, a praying man. So he does this in a good way. So my first General Council last year, I wanted to call upon Mr. Harvey to start off a good prayer that time. And I remembered him too, and I asked him to do the opening prayer for our General Council this year too. And so, and hopefully next year he'll be around and he continues a good work. We lost many of our speakers through the COVID pandemic, and we're thankful for more speakers like Mr. Harvey that are carrying on the language and many others like that. So we continue to pray for their good health, and so they could pass that down to our younger generation. It's been a long and tough year already. We're only a couple more weeks and we're already 1 year through our 2-year term. And for myself, I want to thank, when I came in, I served with Louis, Madam Secretary Myrna, and who else is here? Kakiza Haska Curtis. And the new ones came in too, so we appreciate my colleagues for doing the best we can for the community. And Madam Secretary, I know there's a couple elders. I don't want to put you guys out and on blast out there in the listing world. I'm looking over at Susie from the Bikuli district. So Louis, I want to thank you guys for being that balance of the leaderships from the older generation into that mix of the younger generation. And I appreciate your guys' service. This time when we serve the community, it goes by quick. I mean, we're almost at the end of the year here. And I just want to give a shout out to my friend that made his journey, and I miss him, Joe Williams, my best friend, but I always call him Grandpa Joe, and many others like that too. So I was invited to but Rapid City, South Dakota, to meet with other chairmen and leadership out there to meet with Deb Holland. And I did a proxy letter, and I appreciate Curtis from the Kakiza Haska district and also Dion from Lake Traverse district representing me. I know I couldn't leave our General Council because usually the chairman does the winter General Council, so as my duty, I chose to stay here and do the General Council. But I appreciate my colleagues going out there and being a voice for our community so we could get our issues heard out there as well with the other leadership. And hopefully they will set up another meeting so I could meet with Deb Holland and bring our issues from the system Wapton Oyate so our issues could be heard. I know I just got back from DC, and myself, Dallas Owen from MU Swim, and Dion were out there. The whole day was just meeting with leadership out there, hearing our testimonies with senators. We need to get this law enforcement building. There's other issues in the community that's pressing for our community. So hopefully by the spring, we'll get that shovels in the ground for that law enforcement building. And so it's really needed in our community. So myself and the current leadership, it's been about like 6-7 years for this. And so for myself, it's just like a relay team. We could just pick up that baton and continue what was started from our leadership in the past, and we continue to do that and finish those projects. And so us too, when we finish our terms, what we put in place for our projects, that the future leadership could continue on that in a good way. I know we're running late, but today you'll be hearing the programs that I walk beside in the chairman's programs today. And this afternoon, we'll finish up with our Mr. Vice Chair, Eddie Johnson's programs tomorrow, or not tomorrow, today's Friday. I was thinking it's Thursday, but on Monday, we'll be finishing up with Madam Secretary's programs. And I know she has a lot of work because she has the most programs in her administration. And so I know our THIPO office over at LNI, and so we're gonna make a switch. I know we're gonna do, in their place at 11:10, we're gonna bring in the treatment program to do the presentation, and then THIPO will do their place on Monday. So I just wanna thank Curtis and Dion out there in Rapid City for representing us, and so I could be here. And also too, I know it's Al and I. We wanted to honor the Chilch Brazina football champions at General Council, but we're gonna make some time, so when they come back, we're gonna honor that, and also Caleb Bars for his work as a young leader in the golfing era. So we're gonna do that too. So with that, we're gonna start our agenda, so we might get done early today, so just bear with us, everybody on the listening world over. Tom, our Yapaha, is always presenting for us, so thank you, Tom, and if anybody calls in with any questions, we could write those down. And I think at noon, we're gonna be doing our drawings, so you don't have to be present to win. We'll get you down and we'll deliver those and we'll call you in or whatever we're gonna have to do. And I think, Madam Secretary, I think down the road here, we're gonna give some of the these fruit baskets out, then we'll finish the rest of them on Monday. So with that, we're gonna be starting off our General Council for 2021. Our agenda set for the council here. We gave everybody the books out, and from my hearing, everybody picked them up and we ran out of books, but we could put some more together if anybody needs them. Thank you, everybody, and everybody out there. It's snowing on the System Wapton Oyate. Make sure, give yourself plenty of time wherever you need to go, and watch your speed, and be safe, everybody. Wopi de Tanka. Go ahead, Mike. At this time, we're going to have Mike with GIS come in and do his report since he's available, and law enforcement will be right after.
Well, good morning, Merry Christmas. Tribal Chairman,
Make sure you turn your mic on.
Tribal Vice Chairman,
Make
Tribal
sure-
Secretary.
Make sure your mic is on for listening audience.
Okay.
Sorry? We're on? Okay, great. Again, good morning, Tribal Chairman, Tribal Vice Chairman, Tribal Secretary, and Tribal Council, and to everyone out there. I'm Michael Abat, the GIS Manager. To begin with, the GIS office provides the tribe with geographic information system technology and AutoCAD, which is a computer-aided drafting and design software, and GPS and GNSS survey and mapping. GNSS is a global navigational satellite system that is used to survey property, tribal trust land. I'll quickly go through some of these projects and accomplishments listed in the General Council report that was accomplished by the GIS office. First, and one of the most common jobs that come through the GIS office is to create meets and bounds legal land descriptions of irregular shaped land parcels. This involves writing property descriptions when the standard government survey system cannot be used. This involves creating points, bearings, and distances around property and enclosing the property boundary written land description. The work is done in Civil 3D, which is a civil engineering design software. Second, one of the common work jobs that come to the GIS office is mapping and staking out tribal members' 2.5-acre home sites. This involves mapping the right-of-ways, calculating boundaries, distances, and perimeters around the home site. This again involves using GPS and GIS technology and equipment for mapping and site stakeout. And also using FEMA flood zone data to determine if there are any flood zones present on the home site. And finally, drafting conceptual site plans and building layouts using AutoCAD. One plan was done for the SWO Head Start program. A conceptual building with 6,080 square feet was designed and drafted for them. The building featured an open floor space for an indoor children's play area. The open space consisted of 2,800 square feet with an estimated 40 square feet per child, which could house 80 children. The open space would serve both as a partitioned classrooms and just an open space for an indoor play area. The site was created within the Head Start property in Agency Village. A three-dimensional model was created while drafting the plan. This work involved using Rivet architectural software by Autodesk. Well, this concludes some of the accomplishments and projects that were completed in fiscal year 2021. The rest are listed in your general counsel report. And that's all I have. If there are any questions or comments, I can definitely take them at this time.
Thank you.
Okay.
We
Have a Merry
appreciate your service,
Christmas.
Mike.
Thanks,
Keep up the
sir.
good work over there at GIS.
Thank you.
We have ours. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's 9 and 0. Okay, so that's a fun up for all right. Dan, how you doing? Good.
shortly. If you are watching via the SWO YouTube channel, you can post any of your questions on there. And I did make a post there of if you have any questions for the presenter to post at that time.
Good morning, Matt. Whenever you're ready, make sure your mic is on because we have our listening audience. Since we're still waiting on Gary, Matt Thompson's ready here from the planning office, our program director, Matt Thompson. So we welcome you. Go ahead, Matt.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Tribal Council, and still waiting for Gary, but I might as well deliver the good news. We just found out yesterday that from the BIA, our 20% design was accepted. So we have, that critical phase of the project complete. A lot of people ask about the jail project, what's going on and what's happening, and so we're on schedule for we're currently on track, and so we're going to proceed with that, and we'll have more details on that forthcoming. As far as the planning department, last year, 1 year ago, we were responding to crisis across all of Indian country. Certainly, COVID has impacted our governance, our industries, our enterprises. The planning department has certainly been focused on addressing the needs of the community through input from the Reservation Planning Commission. Since January of this year, we've met with RPC over a dozen times. The conversations, I think, have been very valuable to the department as far as thinking about the future. The overwhelming task of preparing and responding to COVID is one thing, and the DARE program has certainly taken the lead on that. With the planning department and RPC going forward, we're looking to more constructive conversations with council. The responsibility of the department when it comes to grants and supporting other programs, departments, in the midst of COVID has been challenging, but with technology, with the ability to work remotely, and certainly has been helpful and beneficial. As we go forward, the planning department is looking forward to closing out the rest of this year and looking forward to 3 new projects and initiatives. Next year, we're focused on arts and culture. We're focused on the Build Back Better agenda and supporting those efforts from Indian country and taking the lead on that. And obviously, we're also going to be working very strongly on implementing projects such as the Small Business Grants Program. This council passed a resolution on October 6th, and we'll be rolling out the applications and certainly communicating with the community, our small businesses. Those folks hit hardest from the pandemic. And so the planning department is very excited also to be working on infrastructure projects. There's billions of dollars in tax-exempt financing that will be available to support infrastructure, passed and signed by the president on November 15th. And with this new Build Back Better bill that may be passed by the Congress and hopefully next spring, there will be a lot of opportunities. The challenge with infrastructure projects is that they take years to do. So hopefully we can focus on that long-term objective collectively and think about it from a 7th generation perspective. With that being said, we'll be making some announcements through the SHOTA regarding the rollout of the small business application, and certainly looking forward to being of assistance on the program side through the Economic Development Administration, which is the planning department's primary federal grant program to support economic development endeavors. But I'll leave that to Will Fish, who oversees the economic development part of the department. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt, for your planning office report. Going over to Will Fish for the economic development part of the agenda.
As Matt previously mentioned, we are developing a program through the ARPA funds for the small businesses that were hit hard, and there are quite a few. The other thing that I really wanted to discuss is the broadband grant that we applied for just recently. There were 301 applications totaling $6.8 billion. Well, there is only $975 million available. So that means they overshot by 6 times. I did call the NTIA and ask what's our chances of getting approved, and we had a meeting with them. They called me back, and our chances are very good. They just said with 6 times the applications, it's taking 6 times the wait. So there's a couple hoops that we have to jump through with the budget perspective, and they're going to be sending me that list today. Jim Pearson, Courtney Clark, and myself are going to knock that out and submit back to them. Anyone have any questions? Nope. All right.
Thanks, Will, or Madam Secretary.
I just wondered, how many economic development grant applications have you received under the ARPA from tribal members?
Right now, the application, it's not available yet. It's done. Once we get Steve Gunn's approval on that process, I'm gonna work with the IT to get that online, kind of like the $2,000 payout that we did. That way we don't have an influx of people coming into the office. However, everybody that has contacted me, and those of you that are watching are more than welcome to contact me. I do have a working list that I'm in constant communication with those individuals. There's 17 people right now. So once we get the okay from Steve on the procedures, I'll roll out that application and it'll be online.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Fish. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Since Gary Gaikowski is not here, I'm going to call upon another manager that's been here for years and he's been doing a great job. And since he's patiently waiting, so I'm going to call upon our Turo office manager, Delray German. So Will already left the mic on for you, so you have to turn it on.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Council and the Oyate. We ask that we remember everybody that is dealing with tough times right now. Our families, our small businesses, our personal businesses that Mr. Fish just talked about, the Oyate's businesses. Everybody is going through some tough times, but just like our people have gone through in the days of old, we have to reach down deep inside of ourselves and find that strength to continue on. If they did not do that during their time, during their life, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have this land that we live on today if they didn't do that for us. So we need to do the same for the future of our people, for the Oyate. I am honored to stand before you, the Oyate and the council, today as your Turo manager, your Turo director, and report to you that we've had a very good year, in spite of everything that has happened, because this year we were honored as the Turo of the Year for an innovative idea that the Turo Commission had worked on for a long time. The idea came about in about 2013, and we actually got it implemented in started to get it implemented about 2015, and then finally worked all the bugs out and got it going here in about 2018. And that's how plans are. Just like your planning director just talked about, Will Fish talked about, plans take time. But you have to continue to execute and move forward and not let those plans stagnate on the shelf. And because of the planning and the effort of the Turo Commission, the Turo staff, we instituted the temporary hire program, which has been a very good addition to the TARO duties and responsibilities of putting our people to work, whether it's through small businesses or enterprises of our own. We get calls on a regular daily basis for temporary help. I need somebody for a few hours or a couple of days. And now that we have this in place, the TARO office is able to step up and utilize the workforce that we have, our tribal membership, and put people to work so they can earn some money, to take care of themselves and their families, to stay here in this community rather than having to go somewhere else to find a job. And because of the work that the TARO Commission has done and the TARO staff have done, we are putting our people to work at a great number, and which is reflected in our numbers and our statistics. This year, we had 83 confirmed hires through the TARO office, and of that, they earned approximately $1,647,000 in revenue that they were able to take home to themselves, their families, and take care of themselves, rather than having to rely on other resources. The TARO Commission is and has been a great body of men and women that have really good hearts and good ideas for helping our people to capture the opportunities that we generate as the Oyate here on Lake Traverse Reservation, whether it's through our small businesses or through putting our people to work. The TARO Commission has been very supportive in everything that the TARO office has done, and a good guide. We meet with them on a monthly basis, and everybody has great input, and the TARO staff are always very receptive to accepting new responsibilities and duties, fleshing out ideas that the TARO Commission may have, to do things, to do a better job at improving our way of life here on the Lake Traverse Reservation, through capturing these opportunities that we are creating through the tribe itself and its revenues, but also through the federal dollars that are impacting our reservation. And following up with the planning director right now is a great opportunity for the TARO office and myself to step forward and say, this is now the time for us to be planning our human resource capital also in how to capture these opportunities that are going to be coming through the federal government, through the Oyate, for our infrastructure. We have small businesses out there. How can I do a better job at getting them prepared to make sure that they're ready to capture these opportunities that are coming in infrastructure building, whether it's telecommunications, roads, bridges, schools, new administration building, the jail, additions and expansions of our enterprises. What do we need to do? So this is a good time, Mr. Chairman and Council, for us to be pulling everybody together and put all of our thinking caps on and have an integrated resource management plan put together through our planning office and leadership to pull the managers and directors together and ask, what can we do as a team to make sure that we're capturing every opportunity that is coming here to Lake Traverse Reservation for our benefit, rather than having to contract with outside people and enterprises and entities and businesses, and then the majority of that money leaves here. We need to be capturing it here. So just an idea, just something that I've been thinking about since the president announced his Build Back Better plan. What is the TARO office doing to help our businesses prepare to capture these opportunities? And that's something that I need to begin to work on, because that opportunity is going to come and it's going to go, like all opportunities do. And whether you're ready or not, those opportunities come and they go. It's up to you to capture those opportunities when they are here. So that's what I'll be working on with the TARO office, with the TARO Commission, and trying to begin to work on a plan on what resources do we need to be providing to our small businesses so that they are ready for these opportunities. Who can we collaborate with? You know, are there bigger businesses out there, even Travel Roads, we don't have a construction management anymore, but had we had a construction management, it would be a great resource to capture these building dollars that we're going to be utilizing to build these projects that are coming up. Probably many projects we don't even know yet, but I know that water and sewer is a big one. Our housing developments are a big one. And how are we going to be preparing ourselves to capture those opportunities? As my report shows, which the public is, I'm hoping this thing is published online somewhere, because when I came up and registered today, we're totally out of the general council books already for this general council session. So, one big announcement for the Terrell office that is highlighted in the book, that is highlighted in the report, is the future of the commercial driver's license training that the Terrell has been doing now since 2005. We started providing commercial driver's license training in 2005, and as of 2 years ago, our trainer decided, well, it was time for him to retire, take care of his family. He's got a loved one he had to take care of. And so since then, we've been without a trainer. And now the Federal Motor Carriers Administration of the United States is instituting new regulations. Well, the regulations have been there since 2016, but they're going to enforce them beginning this year in February, where all commercial driver's license individuals will need to go to a certified trainer to get this CDL license. You'll no longer be able to pick up a driver's license book on your own at the DMV and study on your own and take the test on your own. Now you'll have to go through a certified trainer, and that trainer has to be registered with the Federal Motor Carriers Administration, and there's a whole process they got to go through to do that. And so it's going to cost each individual about $5,000 per license to get their CDL license now. And that is something that we used to do at the Terrell office, and be able to provide a license, help individuals get that license in a very short time, and it averaged about 3-4 weeks. And the whole bill for 20 people would be about $20,000, $15,000 to $20,000. Now it's going to be $5,000 per person, $5,000 to $6,000, depending on where you go to school at, to get that license. And so that is one thing I wanted to make aware to everybody, and this is a good forum to do it, that the CDL licensing process will no longer be going through the Terrell office. You'll have to go online or register at a school somewhere to get that license. That is our big announcement. You know, I want to thank the Tribal Council and especially the Terrell Commission, the Terrell staff, and I'm very thankful that the chairman and the council honored Mr. Robert Starr when he retired October 1st. He was a great asset to the Terrell office, to the Oyate. After 30 plus years of service to the Oyate, he's now taking it easy. And I really enjoy the new compliance officer, Mr. Dusty Kirk. He's stepped up really well, and he's learning everything he needs to learn. Bertha and Lisa are the best at making sure that Terrell operations internally, administratively, are functioning every day. We're meeting the Oyate's needs when they come into the office. So with that, Mr. Chairman and Council, I thank you for your time and the Oyate's time and the honor and privilege of serving you. Pidamaya.
All right, before you drop the mic, Mr. German, we got a question over here by Madam Secretary, but once again, I want to thank Mr. Starr's years of service for serving Terrell, and also to reminder, I appreciate you and the staff and the board for, once again, a national award for the Terrell.
Oh,
for the year. So, Wopitatanka. Madam Secretary.
Just a quick question. I always wondered this. Do you know how many tribal carpenters, plumbers, and electricians that we have on our reservation?
We have one licensed electrician, Mr. Chuck Eberhardt. There's others that hold apprenticeship license. There have been others that have held their journeyman's license, their master's license, but they've let them lapse, or they no longer are registered with us. So right now it is Ridge Electric, Mr. Chuck Eberhardt. He's a master electrician. He's the only one that is truly certified and registered with the Terrell office. Plumbers, the same way. I think the Kompeska family are the only registered plumbers with the Terrell office that are, I think they're journeymen. The majority of them, I think there's 2 or 3 of them that are journeyman plumbers, and and they are registered with the Terrell office. Carpenters, they don't require the same type of licensing process, and the tribe has a number of carpenters that run businesses and are registered with the Terrell office. So all total out of, I think we have about 39 Indian businesses registered. 20 of those are probably in the construction industry.
Thank you. I always, when you said grow our own human capital, I always thought we needed electricians and plumbers.
Yes, we do. Yep, we do. And that's why the trade school at Lake Area, well, that school too, we've got a great relationship with Lake Area. They do a great job training people, but our own college right here, SWC, and they have at times provided that training. I'm not sure where they're at now in providing that education and training any longer, but that is one area that the current presidents and I have talked about, and past presidents and I have talked about, is that construction industry, the vocational training aspect of SWC, we need that. Not just for us, but this whole northeast corner of South Dakota is an important, vibrant economy that is only going to grow, continue to grow, and we need to be the ones building it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess you got a question, Delray? They're just texting it right now. While we're waiting for that question for Delray, Mr. Jim Pearson from our emergency management, we're going to be calling him since I'm still waiting for Gary. And I appreciate your work. And Emily Swim, I have LTEC, Breon Lake helping with that issue, the water issue in Emily Swim, so that's resolved. So once that question comes in for Mr. Delray, we're just going to continue. Go ahead, Jim.
Sure, I'll give up the mic. Thank you, Chairman, Council, for inviting me today. I'm a little bit rushed again this morning. I apologize for that. A couple of things that we can update you on is we continue to work with our partners with the Federal Emergency Management Agency. We're concluding one of our grants, the 2018 grant. We did get a one-year extension with that. That grant was for $699,000. We've been purchasing some generators with that, using those dollars, we think, quite well to provide much-needed life safety measures as far as the generators and they're housed over at Breon's facility over there. So we have those available should we need them. The second thing that we've been working on quite a bit is with FEMA and our public assistance that we've been doing with the feeding program that the DARE team has been doing. Currently, the project worksheets that we've submitted and gotten reimbursed for, I think right now exceeds $1.3 million. And that's been a lot of great work that's been happening through the DARE team, Sunny, Tammy, Dakota, and all of the people that are working there. So those reimbursements did come back at 100%. So there isn't anything that we've had to outlay as far as a match. Usually it's 75, 25%. So that's been very fortunate that we've been able to get those dollars back to the tribe here. Our latest 2020 Tribal Homeland Security grant is a communication grant, and we've been working with that, trying to get what they call the new technology, the Project 25 repeaters, radio communications for law enforcement. Not only will it benefit law enforcement, but natural resources, tribal roads, LTUC, and other programs that do use those communications. So we're in the process of just basically beginning that right now. We've secured, we think, some tower sites, and then the ability to get line of sight communications that'll really impact where we have bad reception and improve that significantly. Those areas that are bad, I think everybody's aware of those, where you get into probably Long Hollow, Lake Traverse Housing, Veblen Flats, those areas we do tend to get very poor reception. We're absolutely convinced that with this grant, we're going to improve that communication significantly. We have a Health and Human Service Agency grant, and that's what is that number? About $299,000. That we've been using and working with the radio station to get the word out with different things that we need of the COVID vaccinations, with education, with everything that comes about with the variants as well. That grant expires here in March. We're going to have a few dollars left over in that grant that I think we're going to look to maybe providing a point of dispensing trailer that we can equip with and be able to hook that up to a vehicle and move that move the vaccination site to a remote or another location, housing or district centers or wherever we would want to do that. Monthly, we have meetings all the time with our DARE team. We meet every Friday at 2 o'clock, or Friday at 10 o'clock and Mondays at 2 o'clock. So those meetings have been well attended. They're very open, good discussions we've had. Other people that participate in that are Sarah Dakota quite a bit, Josie, Deitch from their program, and all the DARE team. And we would welcome anybody else who would like to participate in those. Forgive me, but I'm going to have to look down at my phone because somebody's trying to reach me, and I guess it's Will over at Planning. We're working on this NTIA grant right now, and we just got the word on that we have reached the second round with that funding, and we're hopeful that this new input that we'll put in will make that a successful grant. Hopefully that word will come out 1st of March. So I know that was kind of rushed, hurried. I apologize that I wasn't better prepared, but I would sure open the floor to anybody who has any questions or comments from tribal members that are watching and listening. And just to update, Dallas and I, the chairman, had a discussion last night about getting the water break that's happened up at Enemy Swim. We did, as we speak, they're getting 2 pallets of water going up there for people that need that. The Waubay Fire Department's going to put a tanker up there. People that do need to get a larger quantity at one time, and hopefully that break will be fixed this afternoon. But we thought we should get something up there and get something to the tribal members that need it up that way. So with that, I'll open it up. If there's some questions, I'd sure like to take those. And if there's anything out there in the public, tribal members, I'd like to take those as well.
Any questions or comments coming from the leadership? Anything from Tom or Yapaha? Dallas, the floor is yours.
I just want to give thanks to Jim and everyone that helped out with the Enemy Swim because, I'm sure he had kind of late night too. And so I really do appreciate all the work you do for us. I know sometimes we always have you on the go, but I just want to let you know that you and your group are truly appreciated. Thank you.
Well, I'm grateful for that. If we weren't busy, we weren't doing our jobs. So we tried to pull the logistics together on that, and got a hold of LTUC this morning, and hopefully that project will be taken care of early this afternoon. So again, grateful. Thank you. I'm grateful to all of you for allowing me to serve.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Courtney, for all you guys do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I'm going back to Yapaha. A question for Terrell.
All right, this comes from 949-4138. What is the difference between Terrell daily workforce compared to daily workforce out of Fargo? Are the pay rates the same? Do they both get paid daily? Is this Terrell workers shuttled like Fargo workers? Our tribal employees have transportation problems also. Thank you.
That is a very good question. That is a problem, an issue. It's not a problem. It's an issue that we've been working on now for a while. The transportation issue I'll address first. Our shuttle service, which is a private business, is currently working on a contract with Dakota Magic so that they can provide shuttle service for the needed employees at Dakota Magic, and that is in the process, working process. As far as pay, the next issue, the pay rate is $13.50 an hour, which is equal to the people's pay from People Ready. We do not pay, though, on a daily basis, because once you are in the system as a temporary employee through the Terrell office, you will get paid on the weekly pay schedule, just like all other tribal employees. They run those checks on Friday or direct deposits, hit the bank on midnight on Thursday. So you do get paid after your first full week of work. You'll be paid the following Thursday at midnight, or a paper check on Friday. And that is it. That's how the Terra office is working with Dakota Magic right now, and all the other entities of DNGE, where we've had temporary hires also, and other entities of the tribe, and also private businesses that have solicited us, the Terra office, for temporary help. The Terra Commission took action this Tuesday to increase the minimum wage from $12 an hour to $13.50 an hour as the standard minimum wage for employment through the Terra office going forward, to go into effect immediately. So we appreciate that from the Terra Commission. Thank you.
Thanks, Delray. You have a good day, and I'll be safe, Delray. Right now, I thought I seen Terry. Terry, are you going to be coming in for Mr. LeBlanc? Oh, I thought I seen her. And Jesse came in. She probably had to go babysit Jesse. With that, I'm going to go on to, let me see who's on next. Joan? I thought I seen Joan. There you are, Joan. Thank you for making time for us. We appreciate the work that you're doing. So the mic is already on for you.
Okay, thank you. So I have two programs. The first one's the Sex Offender Registry Office. I'm going to take this off because I have a hard time talking. So even though we had to deal with the pandemic, we continued to meet with sex offenders like we were supposed to. We mainly did telephone contacts. If there were any issues that came up with new sex offenders that had to be registered, then Mike would meet with those in person. So this last year, we've had between, if you look at the stats on the back, we've had about between 32 and 36 sex offenders that have been on our registry. And since it varies every month because we have new ones and then ones being removed, that's the reason I have 32 to 36. So we, in addition to monitoring sex offenders, I was able to continue to do the Darkness to Light, which is a sexual abuse prevention training to the Little Steps Daycare, and then also to staff at the Veterans Memorial Youth Center. And then we also were able to create and distribute a poster regarding rape for Sexual Assault Month. So one of our goals is not only to monitor sex offenders, but we really think that education's important for our community. We did receive the 2020 grant for the next 3 years, so that keeps us going for 3 years. We're still running on one of the old grants. We've had to extend it this year because of primarily because of COVID. We weren't able to use all of that money up, and so we're still running on that one, and it basically provides, I think it's about $50,000. And so if you look at our stats, we've continued to provide services to the community. We were doing investigations, we were doing compliance checks. We were doing pretty much everything that we needed to do, other than some of the face-to-face contact with sex offenders. And so that didn't let up at all. We made sure that our community was safe. So that's pretty much it for the registry. Do you have any questions?
Madam Secretary has a question for you, our comment.
Okay.
The floor is yours, Madam Secretary.
I was just wondering, which areas are zoned? Are they zoned like where the ones on the registry cannot attend functions within, what, is it 500 feet?
It's,
of a-
yeah, it's within school, primarily schools, daycare centers, things like that is where they're, those are called safe zones. And so like the schools have their own policies. So TZ, they require that you only be one of the lowest levels and you be a parent. That's what their requirement is. Now, Enemy Swim, they basically go by what the law says. And so the law allows them to come up with their own guidelines. With daycares, they don't want registered sex offenders there at all, including Head Start, even if they're parents, even if they're not even picking up, they don't want them there because of the safety issue with the children.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Anything else from our leadership? Thanks, Joan.
Oh, can I go on to parole?
oh.
Can I go on to parole?
Yep,
Okay.
before you go on to parole, you got a question with Harvey back there, right behind you.
Okay.
Harvey, you had a question for Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Joan,
Do
go
you want
ahead.
me to continue then, or do you?
Did you want to get your question for Jim?
Sure. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I have a question on where I live in Bikuli, the cul-de-sac where I live. That drainage has been plugged for years, and every winter when the snow builds up and it melts in the spring, it floods in and then starts coming into the basement, but all that area is plugged up. My question is for Mr. Pearson on if there's anything that could be done about it. That was my question.
All right, thank you, Harvey. Jim?
Gracias.
Yeah, Chairman, thanks for that, for giving me the opportunity to answer that question. We were up there last August, I believe it was, just this past August, and we were weather spotting, significant rain come through that area, through the Big Coulee area. And the part that he's talking about is the cul-de-sac. And water, during that storm, I think they had about a 4 to 5 inch rain up there, and we could see the flooding that happened in that area. And Council, you guys approved the hazard mitigation grant program, and that $40,000 that we can use. That's one of the areas that we've identified within that pre-disaster plan. And we do have that kind of scoped out with Richard White to look at that. What we think is the solution there is going to be a storm sewer to get the water there to flow from that cul-de-sac to the east. So to answer his question, yes, we've got that on our radar. We're hopeful that we can do something with that this spring, and that should take care of the issue with that cul-de-sac and those probably 3 or 4 homes that are impacted by that flooding. So that should take care of their issue. And hopefully by this spring, we'll have that taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. You got a question for Joan?
All right, whoop it up. Gracias.
All right, Joan, before you go on, you got a question from the listening audience out there for you?
Okay.
All right, same person that texted in the message or the question. Do you seek out offenders in Browns Valley also? And it says have done it before.
Actually, we don't have jurisdiction in Browns Valley. What we do is if anybody asks us to, in that area, then we refer them to the Minnesota Sexual Offender Program.
Go ahead, Joan.
Okay, so my next program is the parole program, and this program runs from July 1st to June 30th. We receive our funding from the state of South Dakota, I know that I've been here before and I've told you, we've gone through a lot of parole agents since this program started. We did hire Cheyenne Ironheart in January. She's a tribal member. She had the educational requirements and she had experience. And she is doing really well with our parolees. I haven't had any issues with her at all, so I'm real happy that she started working for us. So if you look at the stats for this program, we've had about 162 parolees on the caseload. So we were able to sanction in the community 53, and we've returned to prison 22. That number was higher from last year, and we had issues because of COVID, you know, getting individuals into treatment programs, into community correction programs, and sometimes what we had to end up doing with a lot of these cases is because we had to end up sending them back under extended detainment, those type of things, and it was always a community safety issue. We continue to use the wellness team. We have individuals that attend regularly our meetings. We didn't have meetings for a while, and then we started doing once everyone came back to work, we started doing the video conferencing, and now we're meeting regularly in person. And so we've used email in order to reach out to our wellness team members on some of these cases, but for a long period of time, it was me and the parole agent that was assigned that were deciding on some of these cases, and that was because of COVID. And so we've had 28 people successfully complete parole last year, but that's pretty much it, if you have any questions.
Madam Secretary?
I just wondered, what are your chances of getting another parole officer? Because that's an awfully large caseload for one person.
It is. What we do is we farmed out some of those cases to our Watertown parole agent. And so I think right now Cheyenne has almost, I think it's close to 80 cases, which is a lot. What they've done, and one of the issues is that throughout the region, they've lost parole agents. And so the numbers increase because we have parole agents taking over some of those cases. Now they've hired, so we should be able to reduce her caseload down. We're hoping down to 60, which is more manageable. So you got to remember even though it looks like a large number, some of them are actually in community confinement centers. They're maybe on extended detainment. They could be in various stages, like low activity cases, those type of things, so that she's actually only working with a core of like maybe 30 that she's working on a consistent basis. And so she believes she can handle that. She thinks that this is a good number for her, and if we've ever overwhelmed her, which I've talked to her regularly about, that, you know, we can always reduce those numbers and send some of those cases to Watertown. So we do have some of those Watertown cases that are still on our, you know, under our program. And so, but they communicate with us regularly on those type of cases. So, but no, I agree. It's something we're always consistently monitoring.
I know one of the gaps for parolees is somewhere to stay.
Yes.
And so I know we really we need transitional homes for those getting out on parole, men and women. So I know we have the House of Hope, you know, and we have rules there, and it's pretty strict. We have the halfway house, but they shouldn't have to go to the warming house, because that's like the warming house.
Yeah.
But I know it's a need for our community to get a transitional housing for the parolees.
Yes, and I agree. And I did apply for that grant. This is the third time I've applied for the reentry grant, because I think that is so needed in our community. I have not heard back about that grant. And they said that we should hear back by the end of December, and we're getting close to the end of December. And so we really need that as a kind of a filler in between what we do and the prison does. And so if we don't get it, I'm applying for it again because I just think it's a huge need here.
Yes, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thanks, Joan. Appreciate it.
Any questions?
No. Oh, go ahead. We've got a question out there in the listening audience.
All right, it's from 1199. Is there a website for the SWO program for offenders?
Yes, there is. You mean the sex offender registry program? Yes, there is. And I don't have it with me, but if you just type in Siston-Wapton Sex Offender Registry, there's a public website that anyone can look on. You can go to the Drew Shadeen federal website, and anybody can do that. Type in a name, and you'll be able to find all the information that you need. And if you have any issues, call our number, 698-7017, and we can answer, we can tell you specifically what the website is.
All right, I think that's all the questions for you, Joan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Stay safe, Joan. At this time, I was going to call upon the Thipple office, but we're going to switch. Thipple's going to go on Monday in Tribal Secretary's report. Then at this time, I'm going to call upon our treatment program, Mr. Bird. And just a heads up, I'm going to call upon Mr. Harvey to, after this report, to say blessings for the food. And we're going to allow everybody to go and eat. Just keep in mind that they're going to be feeding at the cafe here. So that's where the food is.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Richard Bird, Program Manager at Dakota Pride Treatment Center. Yep.
Mr. Bird, I'm going to make an announcement.
Okay.
This is coming from the roads and also law enforcement, EMS out there. After your report, we're going to see a prayer for the food, and we're going to let everybody go home because we're hearing that the roads are bad up in the hills. So just for everybody's safety, we're going to be letting out early here. Then we're going to come back on Monday.
Okay. So I'll make it quick then today. My report's in the booklet, pretty self-explanatory. We do quite a number of evaluations. People call us, contact us. We go to jails or we go, to different places and then we figure out what they need. More than likely they need treatment, so inpatient treatment or outpatient treatment. There's, or then halfway house, things like that. We have different various services that we provide. We get our majority of 49%, 50% of our funding comes through the Indian Health Service. Actually, then we get some more funds from various government services for co-occurring disorders. That's so we could refer people to like Tallgrass Treatment Center, Keystone, Project Turnabout, places like that. We do get about 10% of our funding comes through the program support, and that we kind of fund our halfway house and our outpatient programs. And we get about 5% for insurance billing, and that funds our maintenance programs there. Our goal, long-term goal, is to provide, to get detox. And one thing everybody seems to be we always need from time to time, not every day, not every week sometimes, but from time to time comes up as detox. So, but we hope that eventually we could have that. Of course, we've been talking about having more like halfway housing, after people complete treatment. Sometimes we have to send them right back to their homes. Probably not a good idea, so hopefully we have, right now we only have, I think it's 8 beds for our halfway house, so. So with that, we are working, we have applied for and did receive funding from the area office to complete a feasibility study, and we've been working on that for the past 6-7 months or so. So we're getting close to finishing that up, and we have the people here want to go up, and I guess they could kind of take it from there, because they're
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us here and allowing us to update on the status of the feasibility study. We really appreciate being here. My name is Kate Grismala, and I am from Bluestone Strategy Partners. We're a national tribal advisory services firm. So there's no way that Bluestone could have done this by ourselves. And so we have a team of people. I just want to let you know that what I'm about to explain to you and present to you is I think, Sarah, you handed it out to everyone, right? So you all have a copy of this? Yep. Okay. So I won't prolong things. I'm just going to run through how we got where we are and where we're going and what the expectations are. So on the first slide, you can see the project team. So of course you're the owners, and on your team we had sponsored by us. Myrna has been very involved, tribal secretary. Leah, your tribal health director. Of course, Richard has played a key role in this. Skyman, who I don't see here today, but Skyman Reddy was also very involved. And of course, Sarah and Josie, who are here with us today. That was your internal team. And then this opportunity was brought to Bluestone by DSGW, the architects who were involved in planning the building, and they had a whole team of folks on their staff involved. And then in addition to Bluestone being the consultant for the business plan on the feasibility study, there's a designer involved, a writer, a graphic designer, and a construction firm that were on the team. And then Mike Lavadori, who's not here today, unfortunately, has played a key role in terms of cultural planning and assessment on the side of the design team. And then there was a civil engineering firm that we've been working with throughout the process. In terms of giving you a little bit of background on the project, I just wanted to make you aware that the intent of the feasibility study was to evaluate Sisseton's need for and the business feasibility of funding an alcohol and substance use disorder treatment center under the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act as a demonstration project authority. So that's where the authority comes from. And then you can see where the specific code, and it was to develop and implement alternate means of delivering healthcare through demonstration projects. That's what the authority, the purpose of that is through IHS. The feasibility study requirements from IHS were very, very specific. And so when you see the final document, I want you to be confident that the document addresses the 6 requirements dictated to us by IHS. And you can see those requirements on the slide that talks about project background. A need for the new facility. We were very, very easily able to demonstrate the need. We used a statistical formula to do that using your patient population and the excellent data requirements, data that Richard had provided to us. We've been able to demonstrate that there's a significant number of Indians who will be served. We were able to demonstrate the potential to deliver those services in an efficient and effective manner. Both Richard and Skyman have been doing that now for a number of years. The economic viability was a big part of the feasibility study, and when you receive it, you will see there is a lot of financial information in there. There's an Excel spreadsheet that had 10 tabs on it, breaking it down by program. IHS requires that we do 10-year projections outward. So yeah, there's probably more financial information in there that most of us would ever want to or need to have, but we met that requirement dictated to us by IHS. And last but certainly not least, we had to prove that the project was integrated with providers and related health and social services and coordinated throughout your own system and the regional and local systems, and wanted to minimize duplication of services and certainly expand the services. Richard talked a little bit earlier about the need for detox, and you'll see that we were able to include that into this plan. We also are hoping that we'll be able to incorporate Josie's program, the MAP program, program under the overarching umbrella. You know, the model and the goal is to have a coordinated, comprehensive continuum of care of services for the citizens of Sisseton. And you will see that that is the program that we are proposing within this. Everything from inpatient social detox beds all the way through outpatient MAT treatment and partial hospitalization and structured outpatient services as well. So this proposal has the entire continuum of care. Then I want to move on and bring your attention to your own health plan, your tribal action plan. Under federal law, including from the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act and the Tribal Law and Order Act, both of them stipulate, and this is really important, stipulate that the federal partners will cooperate with tribes in the development of the tribal action plan and enter into an agreement for its implementation. And this feasibility study proposal is a step toward implementation. The law states that it is the responsibility of federal partners to assist tribal communities in addressing alcohol and substance abuse with a commitment to honor, preserve, protect the government-to-government relationship. And so for that reason, I would put to you, Tribal Council, that it is the responsibility of IHS and their coordinated federal partners to join with you and make sure that this program that has been so thoughtfully put together by your own staff reached itself to fruition, because it is absolutely a needed program. Further, the declaration declares the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, otherwise known as SAMHSA, IHS, BIA, BIE, and the Department of Justice, to the extent possible, will fulfill the legislative intent of the Tribal Law and Order Act and its subsequent amendments to coordinate resources that will improve the overall health and well-being of tribal members, families, and the communities. I would put to you that this feasibility study, the programs that are outlined within, are part of this federal government responsibility to support this tribe to see to fruition that these programs are implemented, that support them both technically and financially to make sure that you are able to meet the needs of your tribal citizens. So moving on from that, how will this feasibility study fit in with your very own health plan that was passed and adopted by your resolution on October 19th, 2021? Within your own health plan, it states health status priority number 2 addresses substance use disorders, and it states behavioral health initiative. By the end of 2025, behavioral health needs will be served by a comprehensive, well-organized staff with a professional workforce led by a highly qualified behavioral health director located in state-of-the-art facilities and coordinated with public health, primary care, oral, and specialty services. The core of this feasibility study speaks directly to this language within your own resolution, and it is a fulfillment of what you have set forth in that resolution. You will also notice that in the time frame of the feasibility study, it proposes that this feasibility study, if implemented, will be in full force by 2025, so that it is in compliance with the language in your own resolution. We were very cognizant of that. Also, if you look toward, in your own strategy, activity number 6, participate in and complete the alcohol substance use disorder feasibility study. Talks about the language of that feasibility study, what has to be contained with it. And we can assure you, our team can assure you that all of the work that is laid out in this strategy and activity number 6, we have complied with in this feasibility study. Moving on to what our process was, just to give you a little background in terms of how we operationalized your directive within your resolution. There were multiple meetings held with your internal team and our consulting team, including your program managers. Skyman and Richard were very involved in this process. We implemented a community survey, fabulous response to your community survey. I will tell you, you received 158 responses during the 2.5 years of my tenure at Bluestone, engaging in probably a dozen healthcare projects with tribes so far. This is by the largest response to a community survey we received. Your community is very engaged and very committed to this project. Overwhelmingly, your community supported the construction of a new facility and expansion of the programs that you're currently providing. We also held a town meeting right out here in your rotunda where myself and DSGW, the architectural firm, came and spoke directly with your community members, implemented the survey in person and talked to them. They were showed several different potential sites to put the building in, talked about and gathered input from your community about the location and design of the facility. And we conducted many telephone and Zoom calls. This is how I know what I look like on Zoom. It's because of Sisseton. That's how much time I spent on Zoom with your team here. But time well spent because we really drilled down and identified what the program design and the needs should be. So the moral of this slide is that it was a very inclusive process, and we are very appreciative of not just your professional team, but the input that your entire community provided during the course of this study. Talking about the feasibility study, will it justify the requirements of the IHS demonstration project? Absolutely. More specifically, background on existing substance use disorder treatment programs, not just here at Sisseton, but we did specifically talk about, outline how Dakota Pride is currently addressing your substance use treatment needs of the community, what that program currently looks like, what they would like it to look like in the future. Same thing for Maya Techa, and also for Matt. So they're all included. Current design and potential future designs are included in the feasibility study. We also did an extensive demonstration of current and future need, very complicated statistical population-based model using not just your census and treatment data historically, but also generalized census data for the area and the region. There's a lot, as I said earlier, of financial information in there about projection of costs and operating budget, the calculation of the revenue to cover expenses and operating costs for now and 10 years out. And then also there is, on the architect and the design firm's part, a number of options in terms of size and layout and building design will be included. Specifically about the business model, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. You can build the building and it can be wonderful, but if you can't sustain it, that's not going to work, and that's really what IHS is asking us. You will see in the financials a look at the operating budget, both the revenue and the expense side. There is a 10-year consolidated profit and loss statement, and I will tell you, spoiler alert here, if you look at it flat out, it looks as if it won't sustain itself, and that's for two reasons. One, we use ultra-conservative criteria when we were estimating, and two, we did not include any future grant funding. I think that the numbers are ultra-conservative. I think that there's going to be a much higher demand and occupancy rate at the facility. And two, there are significant grant opportunities out there now that were not out there when we started this project. Some of them are ARPA related, some of them not. But I do believe that Sisseton is in an excellent position to bring in those grant funds. And thirdly, I cannot stress enough how important collecting third-party revenue is going to be for the viability and sustainability of this program. Richard said earlier that right now, Dakota Pride has about 5% of its operating budget supported by third-party revenue. You will see when you read the feasibility study that there is a heavy emphasis on building up an administrative infrastructure so that you can bill and collect third-party revenue. That is your right. It is in addition to your right and treaty obligation from the federal government to provide healthcare services to you. I would put you should be taking advantage of third-party revenue in addition to your treaty rights from the federal government to support your healthcare activities. In terms of the assumptions that you're going to see in there, and I heard some discussion about we need more services, and that was really what was driving this. So here are the levels of care and the number of slots that we used in our feasibility study. You currently have, Richard has 12 residential inpatient beds. We're proposing to increase that to 24 inpatient beds, doubling that size. Between Richard's program and Skyman's program. It's about 24 intensive outpatient and partial hospitalization slots. We're proposing to increase that to 32 slots from its current level. And then in addition, because of the demand and the need for detox, we've also built embedded into the business plan and the building design 4 social detox beds. Now, that's what we're proposing. You can shift that. You can borrow from some of Richard's 24 residential rehab beds and increase your social detox beds if you would choose to do that. But for the purposes of estimating profit and expenses, that was the basis of our assumptions. That becomes important because one of the most significant requirements of IHS as part of the demonstration project was to demonstrate sustainability on an ongoing basis. And so you will see in there is a growing demand over time, and the varying levels of occupancy start out very conservatively in year 1 at 50% and grow up to 90% each year in each of the program levels for up to the final, and not the final, but up to the last year in the plan, 10 years. Reimbursement, we used a blended reimbursement rate of $425 a day. Now, I say blended for the following reason. Commercial insurance pays less than the federal government pays. The federal government in the Federal Register says that tribes will be reimbursed $519 a day for every patient that comes into treatment, whether they're in social detox 24 hours a day or whether they come into Josie's MAP program and they're in there for however many hours a day they need to be in there. 1 hour of treatment or 24 hours of treatment a day, your tribe will be reimbursed $519. So that will generate significant revenue for you. That's important because that is the basis of your sustainability program. Unfortunately, commercial insurance companies reimburse at a lower rate than that, so we estimated a conservative per diem rate of $425. Moving forward, where do we go from here? It is our expectation and at your request to participate in a tribal council roundtable in July. It's our understanding that that is something that you would like to have happen. At that point, our team will come in and spend a little more time with you. I know this is a very rushed overview, but if you want to have more questions, more detailed questions, we can show you the financial model so you become more comfortable with it and ask questions. Following your input on that, we'll deliver a draft of the feasibility plan to you. You can have an opportunity to sit with it, review it, and then it is our longer term goal to be able to then turn that over and submit it to IHS for their review and consideration, hopefully by the end of January. The remaining work that needs to be done before the roundtable, the architect needs to finalize the billing concept diagrams and opinions and develop a tighter probable cost for building it. Want to synchronize the building plan with what the final business model is. Bluestone is going to make some recommendations for additional funding sources. And once we pull all of those things together, we hope to have a final product and deliverable to you, as I said earlier, by the end of January. Thank you.
Any questions or comments coming from leadership? We've got a question over there, Harvey.
I just want to, you told us Dako Chichinik up there, which, the name Bluestone, when you mentioned your company, that reminded me of my my beloved twin that I missed, and that was her maiden name, Bluestone. I just want to bring that up. Whoopida. Oh.
Richard? Any closing remarks or anything you want to share?
No, just, I guess this is kind of a need for our tribe for the past, since I've been working at Dakota Pride, and we made several attempts in the past, and this seems to be a more, taking a big step forward, I think, and looks more promising, I guess. So I just hope that we keep it up, keep the pressure on IHS funding sources, to get it done.
Madam Secretary, floor is yours.
I just want to thank Richard and Sarah and Kate. Thank you, Kate, she came in bad weather. She flew in yesterday, and yeah, so we had to get them on today. and thank you to the chairman for doing that. But I want to thank you all because this is like the furthest that we've gone with this, I think. And thank Josie for providing all the Narcan training. She's very valuable to the department. Also, I was happy to hear you mention detox because everybody mentions that we need that sometimes, especially with the younger ones that might be pregnant and using. I think they need that more. But thank you, Kate, for coming, and safe travels home. And that was a good report, good synopsis. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Richard. I'm going to call upon Harvey to give a blessings for the food so everybody can eat. Then I'm going to call upon Jerry after this. So then we're going to convene. Then we're going to pick up at Jerry Eastman on Monday.
I'm going to bless the food in Dakota. Oh, kantaka tukashi. What did that kata do at the hitcher at the kakape, what the tanka wako? Kantaka tukashi, what did that you how blues there? The na naku a kanya wakte. Hitcher at the tukte at the near kantaka tukashi. A kantu, ditchy at the heat yanke. Hitcher at the tukte to yukshan yanke. Storwaishnes. Unshundapo, it's a tukted to ata, Uyapika, da tukted, was taking up at the Unshopo, Omitakwasna. Oh.
Thank you, Harvey. We're going to call upon Jerry from the Veterans Program. Just letting everybody know if they could hear me out there. The cafe is open for you guys to go out and eat.
Good afternoon and good morning, tribal executives and tribal council. Thank you for allowing us to go on before, after the dinner break or before the dinner break. We have some stuff scheduled with our veterans this afternoon from people coming out of town, so we really need to appreciate being on here. Our report is an insert, and what Danielle's handing out is the pamphlet for the Veterans Cemetery. We'll have that online. We'll also have Don put it on the website under the Veterans Office, and we also shared it with the funeral homes as well as Roberts County Veteran Office. So I'm Jerry Upsall, the Tribal Veteran Service Officer, and Gabe, you can come up here. I'm not sure where you're standing, but he's also the cemetery director, driver. He's going to give a quick report on the cemetery as well. I want to acknowledge all the veterans listening, all the veterans present. We thank you for your service. And we want to give you a round of applause for serving our country. Thank you all. I also want to name our oldest living male and female tribal member veteran, Naomi Barker Parker. She's 91. She's a U.S. Army Korean Era veteran. She's going to be 92 in June of 2022. And she's still making her rounds, visiting and sharing her story. We also have Michael Schreiner. He's from the Veblen district. He's age 92. He's a U.S. Army, and he served in 3 wars, 3 conflicts, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And we're really blessed to still have them with us. We also currently have 21 active duty service members serving around the world protecting our country. And I want you to know that we really appreciate you guys passing that $200. They'll be getting that in January. And I let the parents know. So if anyone calls your office, have them call our office. In 2021, we lost 11 at Kichita from January to December. Previous year, I think we had 22, but things seem to slow down. I'll let Gabe talk about the burials that we had this year, and we had one in our new expansion too. We've been busy in the office filing claims, outreach, home visits, hospital visits, getting more veterans enrolled in the VA through IHS. They contact our office if veterans come in and identify themselves as a veteran, and I'm able to go out and have them fill out the paperwork to get them enrolled in the VA, because IHS is also get reimbursed for our veterans that do go to IHS for walk-ins or any other kind of visits. So that's good to keep going. We did a housing needs assessment last year with the System Opted Housing Authority, And we're still working on that with the South Dakota Housing Coalition, and I want to thank you guys for that 40 acres that got passed. I do have veterans. I had one just call. We're getting them prepared diligently so they're eligible for the Native American direct loan. It's a year-long preparation. Basically, it's the payment history that we have to keep them up on, but everybody's doing really good. 2022, we're going to resume all our monthly coffee for the veterans and our honorings. We're going to have the one in March, and of course, we're going to invite you all. It's our annual Vietnam veteran honoring, and last year we invited the Medal of Honor recipient from Sioux Falls for the Vietnam War, and he confirmed that he will come this year, and that's a big honor for these Vietnam veterans because, as you know, Medal of Honor is the highest award given to any veteran serving during war. Our commanders are here, and I just want to acknowledge them. If I could have you stand up. G.T. Thompson is the commander for Kit Fox. Stand up, please. You, GT. Stay stand. Who, he said. And then over here we have Jesse Chunku. He's the commander from Desert Era Veterans. And then next to him is Clayton Ellingson, commander for American Legion Post 314. And then Delano, of course, is that it? Okay. He's the, we have a cemetery board of directors, and Delano's the chairman of the board, and he's also active in any veteran events that we have. If he can stand, he's always the voice behind a lot of stuff that we pursue. And of course, Mike is his right-hand guy next to him. And we're thankful for all. Did any of you guys want to say anything? Delano? GT?
Gabe was going to bring something up.
Okay. Okay. All right. I want you to know we still have the war on drugs, and it's behind the scenes. Their names are still getting turned in. We're finding out, you know, we all have family members that have been affected by it. And I really appreciate the previous Richard Bird who was here. I don't know how many times he's helped me with not only family members, but also veterans. I mean, I could call him. Usually I go through the VA first, but if it's really imminent, where time is of the essence, I can go through Richard Bird and we can help with reimbursement with that. But I really appreciate working with him as well. But I'm gonna call Gabe up here, and then he'll have a few words. You can read the names here. I'm gonna look at it here. I got it. Okay.
Hey, my name is Gabe Fisher. Pretty much do everything up at the cemetery, from burials to maintenance. But I just want to acknowledge the 11 veterans that passed away this past year. First one would be Bruce Rocky Trankel, U.S. Army. Dennis Redday, U.S. Army. Barry LaCroix Sr., U.S. Army. Grandpa Joe Williams, U.S. Army. Ron Cook, U.S. Army. Claude Keeble, U.S. Army. Monty Fisher, U.S. Army. Randolph Yakpa, U.S. Army. Robert Yakpa, U.S. Army. Earl Evans, U.S. Army. And Emmett Eastman, United States Air Force. Up at the cemetery, we did a new expansion for a columbarium wall and a scaffold burial area. It's completed and it's very nice. We actually had our first veteran be laid to rest in our new columbarium wall. We got some new equipment, got a new shed for our equipment, which is big because it's a small garage up there, so it's a big bonus. I guess any questions I can ask or answer?
Madam Secretary has a question.
I just think y'all are doing a great job. I'm going to thank Danielle and my sister Jerry, all the veterans, for your service and everything you do for the community. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank Gabe, and I also too Madam Secretary, I was just going off her words a little bit. Appreciate all the veterans. Appreciate Jerry. I know I get to work with Jerry again, as Jerry knows, as Tribal Secretary, I worked with her, and it's an honor to be working with the veterans again as Chairman. Appreciate it.
Okay, we just want to thank you all for the support for the veterans this year, and also for the ones that are serving. And we'll continue to do the honoring that you had us start back in 2010. So when our veterans are visiting during the holidays, we make sure we get them with the eagle feather in a star quilt. So we'll continue to do that. But we want to thank you all for everything, and you guys have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I think we could, we're going to call it a day, Jerry, if we could retreat the colors. And because of the weather, I got the phone call from the EMS roads and everything, so we want to keep everybody safe. We want to thank the veterans for taking care of that staff for us on behalf of the leadership and council as it remains here in the council chambers and from our term and into the future. Thank you.
The water is on up in Enemy Swim, but you need to be conservative. They are using it up as fast as the tank is filling up. So be conservative if you're up in the Enemy Swim area. The water is back on, but the tanks need to fill up. So be conservative with that. And because it is being used up quicker than it can fill up the tank. So be conservative. The water is on, but be conservative. Dr. We'll see you Monday.